Unlock the secrets of franchising success with the Franchise Life podcast. Hosted by Stacie Shannon. Join us for expert insights, success stories, and practical tips every week. Subscribe now and take your franchise journey to the next level.
Hello, and welcome to the Franchise Life. Today, I have childhood friends and co-founders Derek Shewmon and Nick Lobert with HOMEstretch. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, thanks so much for having us today.
My pleasure. All right, guys. So this is kind of your brand is kind of like breaking into a new segment. I can't put it in home improvement necessarily, but you are really in what you've deemed the home preparation industry. So, Nick, can you share a little bit about how you and Derek founded HOMEstretch and really what this niche space is that you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we noticed, we both were working at an auction company in the past where we were auctioning people's personal property. And we noticed that people were struggling getting their homes ready to sell. They had to get their homes emptied. They had to paint them. They had to carpet them. They had to clean them. They had to do some light landscaping. And there was no one servicing all the cosmetic needs to get a home ready to sell. So in 2019, Derek and I left our corporate jobs and started HOMEstretch, with this service offering, and slowly discovered there's a massive need for people that want quality work and cosmetic work to be done quickly to get their home ready to sell to increase the value.
So, Derek, who is your target? Is it the homeowner? Are you reaching out to real estate agents? What does that landscape look like?
Yeah, so our value proposition kind of hits both homeowners and real estate professionals. So on the homeowner side, obviously moving is very stressful. It's even more stressful if you have a life situation like a death or a downsize and a divorce. So homeowners are just completely stressed when they're trying to get their houses ready to sell. And that's even more complicated by just the negative connotations that the contracting space has in terms of people showing up late, maybe smelling like cigarettes, not saying you're not doing what they say they're going to do, potentially having to pay with cash or checks. All those negative perceptions just kind of add to the stress that these homeowners have. So that's kind of one side of the value proposition that we focus on. And then on the other side, it's the real estate agents who, their goal is to obviously sell the houses as quickly as possible and for the most amount of money as possible. And historically, without a company like HOMEstretch, these realtors were more or less serving as a general contractor, to get all these services done on behalf of the homeowner. So real estate agents, their goal is obviously to sell houses and to network with their clients. They don't necessarily want to be sitting in a house trying to manage the carpet installer or waiting for the landscaper to show up. So they had a lot of stress as well in their life, trying to kind of juggle all of these services that they knew had to get done to make the house look as presentable as possible. So what HOMEstretch kind of does is it alleviates the stress on both the homeowner and the real estate side by creating these easy button that people can call where they get a white glove service offering in this blue collar mentality that can do all the cosmetic improvements that are needed to get a house ready to sell and looking as good as possible when it hits the market.
I could use an easy button in many areas of my life. So I love that analogy. Okay. So what does the breadth of your services look like? Because I can imagine there's numerous different directions that you could go. And then the second part of that is how do you find the skilled labor and what does that landscape look like? Derek?
Yeah, so in terms of our services, we've really kind of honed these over the years. And our goal is to really focus on the services that maximize the return on investment that our homeowners and real estate agents will get, while at the same time balancing the speed that we know is needed to get the house ready to sell. Because the last thing that homeowners or real estate agents want to do is wait months to kind of do all these home preparation services to get their house on the market. Time kills deals in real estate. So what we do is we'll empty the houses. We do junk removal. We'll do interior and exterior painting. We'll do carpet installation and LVP installation. We'll do some light handyman work, such as swap out light fixtures, change cabinet handles, install some baseboards to really kind of focus on the cosmetic appeal of the house. We'll do landscape cleanup, nothing major, but trimming bushes, throwing down some mulch, mowing the lawn. And then we'll do a home cleaning to do kind of that last step that you need to get the house ready to sell. So we really kind of focus on those cosmetic services. And then in terms of how we kind of get the right people, into these projects to make sure that the work is done properly and to make sure that our clients have a good experience, there's a couple of ways that we do that. Number one, we have a national partnership with Sherwin-Williams. So it's a partnership that allows us to kind of have flooring installation and painting kind of self-contained and scalable for all of our franchisees. And then we have a fairly thorough vetting process that we incorporate, for anybody that kind of joins the HOMEstretch team, either through a subcontract or through an employee, kind of goes through this rigorous process to make sure that, the best people possible are in front of our client's home and they understand how HOMEstretch does business so they can kind of grow as the company grows.
Okay, so I love the partnerships where home services brands can leverage a Sherwin-Williams for, labor that has already been, in essence, pre-qualified and vetted. When you speak of junk removal, that in and of itself can be a tremendous job, especially if you have a hoarder situation or such. So, Nick, can you share a little bit, just taking that service alone? Is that something that you guys would subcontract, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we have tons and tons of fun stories about junk removal. You name it, and we've seen it at this point. And you can never judge a house or a book by its cover. You never know what's going on until you open that front door. So we actually do the junk removal internally with our internal employees. That's what we do. And some of our franchisees may sub out some of that labor, to keep their fixed costs low in the beginning. But we do that ourselves. And if it is a hoarding situation and it's, say, a little on the dirtier side or not as pleasant as you would like, Derek and I typically will go and do those clear outs with our employees. Because if I'm not willing to work in the house for 8 hours a day, I don't expect one of my employees to be willing to do it either. So on the kind of grosser ones, we will go work with them as well. But it's very interesting on the stuff you will find and see in the properties. And we do our best to try to donate as much as we possibly can. We have a really great donation source in Cincinnati, Ohio called New Life Furniture. And so we try to donate as much as we can to them. And if they're not willing to take it or another donation source isn't willing to take it for free, then the ultimate answer is it has to be disposed of at that point.
And in this scenario, then you're renting trucks because this is in essence, a lower investment, lower overhead type investment. So I would assume that for scenarios such as you just described, then you would just be renting the vehicles to dispose of whatever is left over. Is that accurate?
Yeah, kind of. The way we do it is we have our own box truck that we own, but then we'll rent the dumpster. So we'll rent the dumpster for all the stuff that's disposed of, and then everything that makes it in the box truck are items that we can donate. So all donations go in the box truck, all the trash goes in the dumpster. And usually a normal home, if it's not a hoarder, if it's just like a normal everyday house, your typical, amount of stuff, it's usually one dumpster and one box truck, and we can usually get that project done in one day.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
If it is an entire house situation, not a hoarder situation, how many employees does that require then to complete it in a day?
Usually about 4 to 6. You can definitely finish a house with 4 guys in one day or 4 girls, but you might get a little tired. What's the saying? Many hands make light work. it helps in this situation because by the end of the day, you're pretty exhausted, hauling couches and treadmills out of a basement.
I can imagine. I mean, moving is one of the least desirable things that but for somebody that likes making a difference and seeing a change, this could be a very rewarding investment for them. So, Derek, you you guys are working with real estate agents. How are those relationships being formed? And is it a tough sell at all to them to engage your services?
Yeah, so our strategy with the real estate agents is we do want to form deep and meaningful relationships with them. So it's a lot of business development in the early days of launching a market where we're doing office presentations, we're doing office drop-ins, we're doing cold calls, to really introduce and educate the agents that this solution exists. Because there is nothing like this most likely in their market, and they've kind of been doing this themselves or kind of passing the buck over to the client. So we do have to spend a lot of time just really educating them on there is this easy button, there is a better way to kind of get your homes ready to sell, and it's HOMEstretch. So the great thing about HOMEstretch is we're not really selling the agents anything directly. It's not like we're calling them up and asking them to spend money on insurance or switch titles. All we're really doing in the early days is just educating them that we do now exist in the market and we can make your life easier and to give us a chance on a couple projects. So in terms of, and Nick probably could speak better than this than me, just given his sales background, but in terms of my observations and seeing this kind of on the spectrum of sales challenges, I think it's kind of on the lower end of the spectrum, just because agents are always willing to talk. They're always open to having a good conversation. And again, we're not trying to directly sell them anything that they have to spend money on. It's just more of a conversation to let them know that we're here and we can make their life easier.
And I'm sure it gives them perhaps a competitive advantage in the services and rounds out their portfolio because real estate agents or real estate in and of itself is a competitive industry. So I could see where that'd be a real benefit add for them to have that feather in their cap per se. Okay, Nick, you guys are looking predominantly for owner operator. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you talk me through that? I mean, there's a lot of concepts out there that do allow for semi-passive ownership, which I'm not saying is a good or bad thing, but what is the rationale behind owner operator? And what does that look like for an individual, say, starting day one for the first year and then post year 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, the difference between us and a lot of other franchisees in the space, obviously it's not retail, it's not brick and mortar, it's not a grand opening and revenue starts coming in day one. We're also not marketing, to direct to consumer very often. It's more towards the realtors. But in regards to the owner operator, we kind of look at it like Derek and myself. My background is sales and construction. Derek's is in finance and operations. So it depending on who is coming to the table. If your background is in operations and finance, then great, you're going to be able to manage the business really flawlessly. But you may have to hire that counterpart in the sales side. If your background sales, you may have to hire a project manager. So it's kind of either side of the coin can work. And what we found is just like anything, the more effort you put into it, the more results you get. And kind of those deep ties to the community, really help with our business because you're forming that. It's not with the real estate agent, it's not just one transaction and done. This is a 5, 10, 15-year relationship where they have a partner in HOMEstretch that they can rely on to help get their homes ready to sell. So we really want people with those local ties and that people are willing to put in the time and the effort. We do have a couple semi-absentee people. I would say more semi-active would be the other term, where they have 20 to 30 hours to dedicate towards HOMEstretch. and maybe they have a smaller or some other type of business that they're also working on.
And just to add to that, I think, for us, our goal with any franchisee we bring on is we want people that want to build big businesses. I mean, we really feel like HOMEstretch is a need that every single market needs to have. And our goal, Nick and my goal, and our entire corporate team's goal is we want to be the national leader in the home preparation space. So we're really trying to connect ourselves with other individuals that are true business junkies that want to grow a big business, that really get excited about kind of the challenges and the tribulations of being an entrepreneur. And for us, just kind of navigating this process, we've really resonated with those folks that are business owners, not necessarily the absentee or the semi-absentee folks that are just in it for the money, but people that actually want to build like an everlasting business. Those are the folks that we really want to kind of connect with and grow this thing with.
Well, it speaks highly of you guys when you stated earlier that you would never expect, one of your employees to spend 8 hours in an environment that you weren't willing to spend in it yourself. And you'll get in there, you'll do the dirty work with them. So I love that. And I think, as you have candidates looking at your investment opportunity, that will really resonate with them. I mean, the culture that you're building and so forth. So you guys do, one thing that really caught my eye was you offer financing. So Nick, can you talk me through that a little bit and what that looks like from an owner perspective, and then the benefits to, say, the homeowner?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Stacie, you got to ask the finance guy about
Oh,
finance.
all right. You're
Not the sales guy.
you're more
I'm
than
just
welcome to hand it off.
Nick is qualified.
No, I'm just joking, obviously. So in Cincinnati, there's two different paths. Well, one is a traditional financing where our clients can apply for a small loan and they can make their payment terms for 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. And when they get the proceeds from their closing, they have the option to pay off that small loan. So that's one option. And then the next option, we do it in Cincinnati, Columbus, and Indianapolis, but each franchisee will have the option to do this if they would like, is we will defer our payments till closing. So if I was doing work on your house and you didn't want to pay for the 10 grand up front, and I knew your realtor and I had a great relationship with them, I would say, hey, I know this home's going to sell in a day. Let's just defer our payment until closing, and then we would get paid at that point. So it is really cool because it does help out a lot of clients where their home is their biggest financial asset, and they maybe don't have the hard cash to put 15 grand to cosmetically improve their house, but it can increase the value of their property, 50, 60, $100,000. And that's their retirement money. And to be willing to do that and help these people out, that's what I love about the business. There's not many businesses where it's a win-win-win. We're happy because we're doing a project. The client's happy because they just made $60,000 more on the sale of their home. The agent's happy because they have a upgraded property that's easier to sell, quicker to sell, and will sell for a higher price. So it truly is a win-win-win.
That's very powerful, and kudos to you guys for putting those attributes in place for the homeowners.
Yeah,
Okay, finance guy, let's talk financials. All right, Derek. You guys, so what you advertise from your FDD is a 2.7 million gross revenue at your affiliate location with a 20.6% net profit margin after royalties. That's pretty phenomenal. How many territories does your affiliate location comprise of?
It's in the FDD. I believe it's 1.7. It's in there as well. So that's kind of what Cincinnati encompasses, but it's directly in the FDD.
So 1.7 territories. And I know that most of your investors to date have been investing in multiple territories. You have 17 franchise owners with 43 territories sold throughout the United States, and that's only with a year of franchising under your belts. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we formally launched our franchising strategy in November. So yeah, a little under a year, but yeah, we're happy with the results so far. And for us, again, it's not about just selling as many franchises as possible. Like I said at the beginning, like we want to be the national leader in the home preparation space, and we adamantly believe that the best way to accomplish that goal is just to align ourselves with business owners that want to build big businesses. So we really try to take our time, and we try to work with our partner, the Repum Group, to vet people heavily to make sure that we're getting the right people into the system, the people that kind of share our cultural values and our mission. And that's kind of how we've handled the growth so far.
Well, I personally know Trisha Bertelson and John Taylor. They are fantastic franchise development reps that any client that is exploring HOMEstretch will be have the pleasure of meeting. So, Derek, on a last note, what does your ideal client look like as far as the attributes of that person? You have mentioned business people and so forth. Can you just share maybe some of the backgrounds of your investors to date and where they came from?
Yeah, I think what's been cool so far is like we have a wide variety of backgrounds and professional experiences into our system. And just in the early months, we've seen people succeed, from many, it could be an engineer or computer person all the way from a natural salesperson. So I think that's what's exciting about HOMEstretch. For us, it boils down to a couple things in terms of what we're looking for. I think first and foremost, like we do want somebody that does see the vision of HOMEstretch and does kind of want to make that commitment to building a big business. Secondly, it's typically somebody that comes from a white collar background, which might be a little counterintuitive. But for us, one of our competitive advantages is we're kind of bringing this white collar mentality to this blue collar industry. So we're really attracted to people that might work for big companies, big corporations, might have that traditional corporate experience and they're just tired of it. But when they get into the HOMEstretch system, they're kind of bringing some of those best practices in terms of, customer service, in terms of responsiveness, in terms of incorporating technology into their processes. When we kind of bring that person into the system that we created, it really gives them a leg up when they're competing against some of the local painting and flooring and landscaping companies that might be doing stuff the way traditional contractors do it. Thirdly, it's probably somebody that is comfortable with sales. That just kind of gives them a natural advantage into building their business. They have no problem building relationships. They might be somewhat charismatic. They have no problem picking up the phone. But we also have instances where maybe they don't have that natural skill set. And like Nick said, they'll just kind of bring in their counterpoint to balance out that equation. So, it really just boils down to somebody that believes in the mission, the cultural value, and wants to kind of put in that grind to build a business. Those are the people that we love, and we just kind of love associating with them. We love just helping people, meet their dreams and build their businesses. It's kind of the best part of this process.
Yeah, and that's why I love franchising. There's nothing greater than enabling people to embark on their dreams of business ownership and build their own legacies. So, with that, gentlemen, Derek and Nick, thank you so much for joining me today to share more about the HOMEstretch concept. For anybody that is interested in learning more about HOMEstretch or interested in checking available territory, please feel free to reach out to me at Stacie@fusionfranchising.com. Thanks and have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more on the franchise life.